Hey, what's up? Later in the day for me, but a different day for you. Part 2 of going through the comic books. I'm Gazbot. Let's pick up where we left off. Actually, there's a big bag here. After I got the Tupperware, my mom was like, hey, also I have this other bag, but we're going to leave that because that was in a different place, so maybe it's different comics, whatever. So, let's blow through these. This hopefully will be a little faster than last time. And right away, we got some Spawn and Excalibur. I feel like this stack should have been with the last one. Let me point this down once again so everyone can see. Super professional. So there's Spawn 19. This already Greg Capullo had taken over. So 12, McFarlane's still at least doing the cover. Oh, I remember 25. I want to say this was like Mark Silvestri. Yeah, Mark Silvestri. This was from when they all traded comics. So when Greg Capullo take over then? Because I have him already doing it 20. Maybe Greg Capullo did Cyberforce, or maybe Todd McFarlane did Cyberforce, even though he was no longer the primary artist. Okay, here's X-Men Atlantis Attacks annual. So that's not what I expect. Oh, X-Men and Teen Titans. Did George Perez do this? No. Well, what cover was Walt Simonson and Terry Austin, who I primarily know as the inker of Art Adams. Okay, here's some more Excalibur. So we're definitely in that Extinction Agenda. Again, or what is Fatal Attractions again towards the end of my completest run of all these books. The Phalanx Covenant. Maybe I did that too. I was like, when did I stop? I don't know. I stayed in it way longer than I was reading it. I feel like I have a duplicate of this exact book that we just saw in the last video. Yeah, a lot of this later Excalibur stuff just does not look very lovely art-wise. Oh, well. First appearance of Gambit. Now, technically, I know this is not the actual first appearance of Gambit. He had an appearance in an annual. I forget if it was a Fantastic Four annual or not, but he was in this future story. This was his first full appearance, and actually, this looks like it's in pretty good shape. At one time, I thought it was worth $36. I don't know what it's worth now, but I feel like I should move that to the side because that's a key book, as they say. This is from the era right before I started reading X-Men, and I would go back and buy slightly older comics thinking I could fill in the gaps and get the whole story before I really realized how impossible that would be, basically. I have a $15 price tag on here. I guess I was selling that at some point. Okay, some more Spawn. I remember this was my least favorite period of costumes in X-Men history when they all had this, especially Wolverine. It just seems so silly to me. Okay, Spawn number 2. I remember at some point Spawn number 2 is worth a lot more than Spawn number 1. I don't know if that's still true. Number 3, number 4. Yeah, so number 3 I have a $12 price, and number 4 I have a $15 price. Oh, with coupon. There's some coupon that I guess a lot of people clipped that I did not. So at some point I was trying to sell these Spawn comics. I don't know how long ago that. Here, okay, his name is Bishop. This might be the first Bishop. And it's Will Portacio art. I hope I'm saying his name right. I guess I should pull this aside. At one point I said it was $14. Spawn. Medieval Spawn. And a lot of these older Spawn, I don't know if they're able, because there was all the controversy with Neil Gaiman and stuff. I don't know what's able to be reprinted and what's not, or what's been changed. So it's kind of cool to have the original comics, just in case some of that gets goofy later. All right, let me pick up another stack. Pretty happy I found that first appearance of Gambit. I don't plan on selling it, but if I find out it's worth like $1 million, I might be tempted. All right, here's some Eric Larson Spider-Man. I hope I have my old Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. Oh, I do. Look. Oh, I have this flipped around. I had some Spideys when I was a kid that I've been given to by various people, but Todd McFarlane is when I really started collecting Spider-Man. I remember a friend of mine told me that there was, I think it might have been my friend Eric, told me that there was a little hidden spider in the drawing of every cover he did, and that was just amazing to me, and I started buying them just for that. I ended up liking the art and the story and stuff, but let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, yeah, right there. It's really hard to see. It's like a little stylized spider right there. It kind of looks like the symbol on his chest. I later found out that they did that with the Playboy bunny on Playboy magazine, but I think that's what it was. But I didn't really read that. Oh, this is another old Spidey. This is like kind of before I started reading it, but an era that I collected the back issues of when I was reading it. Okay, more Eric Larson Spidey stuff. Yeah, and a lot of these have prices. Like at some point, I was going to sell these. And, I still might, but a lot of these are, like, the ones that I would want to keep. So maybe it was a case where, like, the ones I wanted to keep were the ones that were valuable. This might be the first Carnage or the first... Oh, it is. $9. First Carnage. Wow. a little ding. But these are in pretty good shape. I don't know if I can call them mint, but, you know, certainly good. I'll pull that aside. I forgot. So I guess Eric Larson was co-creator of Carnage. Did not remember that, but more old X-Men, Outback era. This is a good stack here, both in terms of stuff that might be valuable and in terms of stuff that I personally, you know, am excited to have back in my collection, hands, whatever. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, this one's all flipped around. Oh, no, Spider-Man number 13. I thought it was Spider-Man number 1, but this is when Todd was already doing an homage to himself. Why is that not? There we go. And then 14, so some later Todd McFarlane adjectiveless Spider-Man. There's Spider-Man X-Force. Is this the other half of it? Okay, I'm not sure. And then Simonson Mignola. I don't even remember this story. Like, I remember having it. I'm sure I read it at some point. I'm kind of interested. This is one of my all-time favorite comics and covers. Alan Davis and Chris Claremont. It says 20. This is another one that I doubt I would sell, but I am curious what that might go for. Pull that one aside, too. That one would be the one I would... Even though the others are more like key books, that one I would be less likely to sell. Extinction Agenda. I remember I was annoyed at this. Like, I was a Rob Liefeld fan at some point for some length of time. But even then, I remember hating this cover because I liked Warlock, and Warlock was dying, and it was this like really tragic event, and this cover was just terrible, even by his standards at that time. Like this one, you know, not as bad, for example. And then there's some Jim Lee. I got a lot of 90s stuff. Some other stuff mixed in there, but heavy 90s. All right. So we got 2 more racks in here, and then the blue bag. So I'll probably be able to finish this in one video. Here's a poster with some really old Fun Tack on it. But I'm going to try a guess. I'm going to guess that this is a Crow poster. Like a full door Brandon Lee Crow. That would be... Oh, nope, I was wrong. It was around that same time. This is... I can't even really see it. Let me put the camera up a little bit. It is a Youngblood poster. The blood is back. And this is probably after they did 4 or 5 issues and then went on hiatus forever and came back. I was working at a store called Toy Masters in Red Bank, New Jersey, that had a comic section that I, at some point, was in charge of, and I got lots of promotional stuff like this that we didn't have space in the store to put up, so it was just all for me or for people who wanted it for free. And you could tell that I actually had hung this up at my home. That's what that means. All right, so, yeah, not in the store, in my home. And here's some... Oh, let me put this back down. A Union hollow foil promo card. I also got lots of promo cards and things like that. Mark Texiera, the artist we talked about a lot last time. And these are from Star Wars Power of the Force 2 figures. We got a flashback C-3PO photo from Phantom Menace. We got K-3PO. And then these were comm chips for a couple battle droids. And then this guy, Loris Mandak. I didn't realize that was his name, but he's the Canteen alien. Why they're in here? I don't know. Oh, and there's a few more. Another comm chip for Greedo, who I think is still the Greedo I have in my collection, actually. Some of these figures never got a proper update. And then an 8D8 thing, and I don't know who this is for. Oh, Death Star droid. Okay. So for a while they came with like these little slides. Weird, the little promo things they decided to throw in. Okay. So second rack. There we go. Oh, Spider-Man number 1. This is gold, which I believe was a reprint. That's how it stands out in my mind. Oh, another gold reprint. This was a first print. Wow, I can't believe I still have so many of these. I thought I would have got rid of these. I don't know if they're worth anything, but it's fun that I still have them. I remember the yellow one, for some reason, being the more rare one, like a yellow background instead of black, but I could be wrong. And this is The Punisher by Frank Terrain. This was interesting because I think he did like a 3-issue arc, and he had a very like kind of scratchy. It wasn't an Image style, but it was an Age of Image where they were giving different styles. And my grandparents, who lived in Mountainside, New Jersey at the time, would go to this diner nearby in Roselle or Edison or somewhere over there. And I guess their waitress was his mom. And somehow they talked about me liking art and comics. And so I don't know if they paid for them or not, but they got this comic. And I think the 2 comics he did and signed. And apparently I was selling it for $6. I'm glad I didn't, because the story is worth keeping. A lot of these are like at the time, $5, I really would rather have $5, but now some of these I'd rather have the comic. Here's some more Carnage stuff. I don't even remember. Planet of Symbiotes. Some of these comics I may have gotten while I was living in Rutherford, New Jersey. I found somebody had thrown out a big box about this big of comics, and it was all like 90s Superman and Spider-Man, a lot of Clone Saga, War Saga stuff, and then I just took it all, you know, because why not? And here, okay, here's all the original Todd McFarlane Spider-Man run stuff. Yeah, I'm happy to have a lot of this stuff, actually. Look at that butt. Wonk. He's got the badonkadonks. They just won't quit. Yeah, you can tell I was a Todd McFarlane's fanboy. He was definitely the artist that had the most influence on me in terms of being a comic artist, in terms of understanding that there are people behind these. Like, he was the first artist I ever knew the name of, and he had this crazy rebel, you know, attitude, and he had the little hidden Spider-Mans, and, you know, I still have a lot of love for that. There's things about him I don't like as much now, but generally speaking, I have a lot of fondness for the man. This, again, early X-Men I collected. Mark Silvestri, he is my X-Men artist. You know, he's the one I think of when I think of X-Men that I read as a kid. I remember this cover. This is also early enough in my X-Men reading career, or comic reading career, when I didn't realize how impermanent things were. So they're fighting the Brood, who are like these alien creatures that can infect people. And like Wolverine was the only one, and he got infected. I'm like, oh my, how are we ever gonna? He was our last hope. How are we gonna? They're all Brood. We lost. You know, like I thought that was it. You know, I really had like genuine, because I would have been in about 5th grade at the time, so I had genuine, you know, fear. Flash, Superboy. A lot of these Superboys, I think I might have gotten. Not when they first came out, but later in like a $1 bin or a 50-cent bin or something. There's some Quasar, some Power Pack, and you can see these always make me think of old school comic book stores. These little white stickers, and they'd have the very fine $1, you know, and that's up from, oh no, it was $1. Well, let me see what this one. This was $1, and it's up to $2.25, you know. So there you go. Ooh, what's this stuck on? Oh, really old Spider-Woman with Werewolf by Night. He's a real monster, and then it has like Fumetti stuff in the background. That's a weird comic. And another Spider-Woman. I remember this guy because I had a Marvel Comics handbook. They used to put those out back when characters didn't change every 2 seconds, and one was Guide to the Dead, of all the characters that were dead. And for some reason, that was the one I got because that's what my local 7-Eleven had that day that I bought it. And he was in it. I forget what his name was. It was like Enforcer. That's what I was gonna say. He was sort of like a not as good Punisher. But for some reason, he always stuck out in my head. It's like, oh, that guy's cool. Wow, another Silver Spider-Man. So I think, oh, there's the yellow. So, oh, and it's, holy cow, it's still polybagged. That's crazy. All right, well, so that's interesting. Let me move these over here. I legitimately thought I had gotten rid of a lot of these, especially those early Spider-Mans. McFarlane Spider-Mans, I should say. I, for sure, had the original issues of Spider-Man that Todd McFarlane worked on where he fought Chance, and I know those go for a ton of money now, and I would love to have them just as like a memento, because again, those were some of the first ones I ever bought on purpose as opposed to just being given or just randomly picking something. Alright, so here's some more X-Men. Again, Acts of Vengeance, Jim Lee. A lot of... I never liked that cover for some reason. This team, which I guess I thought was like the new X-Men, like again back when I thought such things meant something. Oh, 270th giant size issue, better get 2 of them. I always kind of liked the color treatment on that cover. I think it's just something I had never seen before. X-Men. Here is, okay, so another first appearance of Bishop. So if that is worth anything, I'll be selling one of those because I don't need 2. Some more X-Men. This was toward the end of the original X Factor team run. Oh, here's some more Excaliburs to finish out that run. And Fall of the Mutants X-Men. That was another one where like I was kind of reading on the tail end of that, so I remember kind of getting some of these at the comic store for like a hair over retail. Alright, let's see. Last stack. I think it's going to take... Here, you know, I'll see if I can get all the ones. Because when it flops over, I'm worried it's damaging comics. Alright, some more Silvestri comic covers. Outback stuff. Other Fitting Master Mold. Inferno. Like I said, I loved Inferno. And Fall of the Mutants was kind of happening as I got into it. Inferno was the one that I heard was going to happen, and I was like, what? And then it unfolded before me, and it actually did get me to buy comics I wouldn't normally buy or collect. So it was, you know, it did exactly what it was supposed to. Another one, I remember reading these, possibly camping with my father, and I remember Wolverine had, like, they'd taken away their mutant powers, and so he was like, he didn't have his healing factor. He still had his claws, but he was like weak and dying. Excuse me. And I was like, oh, how are they ever gonna get out of this one? Like, there's definitely something nice, and it's true of like TV shows and a lot of stuff, some old X Factor, where the sense of peril and the sense of finality, you know, it was partially scenarios you had never seen. So even if it's like, oh, we've seen this kind of character before, like that they're gonna betray him, but the first time you see that, you're like, whoa, and you don't see it coming, you know, like whereas everyone else that's seen that archetype before sees it. So there's a certain amount of surprise that after a certain point in your life, it gets harder and harder to get surprised or see something new. And then, you know, the finality and the believability, which in long-running comics doesn't exist really anymore, and it's just more of a, is this an interesting character piece or do I like the art? But, you know, at that time, you didn't know that. Whole bunch of X-Men. Oh, X Factor #1. This is the second team. And I want to say this was Larry Stroman, maybe. But I feel like he didn't stay on it very long. And then he moved to Image and did like one issue of Tribe and made $1 million and quit. It's kind of the story. I don't know, but I did like that art. X-Men #1, I'm sure that's worth $1 million now. I'm being sarcastic. Although I say this, but I have no idea. I haven't looked these up. This is the sort of thing where like everyone thought they'd be worth $1 million, and then they were worthless. And now I have no idea. I'm sure they're not worth as little as they were in 1999, but I don't know if they're worth any real money. Excalibur. Here's all my Excaliburs. Spider-Man as a Phoenix and Excalibur. Yeah, some of these don't have bags and boards. I don't know. I probably just ran out because at this time I did all my comics in bags and boards. There's the new suit and the new team. It's like all just like second stringers. I don't remember. It's got the reverse. Oh, this X-Men comic cover again. Another one of those. Like, oh, how's he gonna get out of this? Even though he just got out of being turned into a brood, but I still was like, well, but this time, and I think Jubilee saved him. So it was like, Jubilee's awesome. Okay. Let me see. Oh, a couple cards in the bottom. Let's see. Original Series 2 Garbage Pail Kid Roybot. A Storm Shadow card from some vintage G.I. Joe series. A promo card of Wildstar, who was a big favorite of mine. And then there were these Marvel cards. Or maybe they're Wolverine cards. It was like way back when they didn't have this kind of stuff. It's even kind of a little bit of a weird size, like compared to a regular. Oh no, maybe it's about the same as this. But anyway, I loved this one because it had Nightcrawler. And it said Tag, which is, a game they used to play to test their mutant powers and stuff. All right, it's actually the next day. I'm picking up where I left off. All we had left was this big bag, like a cloth shopping bag that was tied up on top. It took me like 5 minutes to untie, but I've untied it, and we're going to dig through. I'm at a loss as to what else might be in here. Will that Deadpool first appearance be in here? I don't know. But I've got a couple key issues and a lot of sentimental issues, so there's that. Let me put this down so you can see. And then up. I got a new monitor, and the up and down aspect of it is not my favorite. Okay, so the vertical, it just slides. It doesn't lock in place, or if it does, I can't figure it out. Oh, look, 2 more copies of X Factor #1. Again, I really was in the speculator market at that point, and also choosing things that were not the correct things to choose. Phalanx Covenant, Fatal Attractions with these hologram covers. Some Wolverine, some X-Men, some Wolverine. All right. Oh, is this the exact same? This is indicative of the end of an era. Because I looked at this, I'm like, is this the same cover as the other one? And I honestly, I'm not sure. I'm gonna go back and look. No, it's not. But at a glance, it's like not that distinctive. Like the art kind of falls in the background. You just sort of see this little hollow cover. It's just not standing out. And some of these are done by good artists, but it doesn't matter. Wait, do I have 2 of these Wolverines? I do. Another speculator. That was the die cut / claw. I'm like, so obviously that's going to be worth a lot of money. This might be a reprint. Oh, this was a Wizard Magazine exclusive reprint or something. Generation X, New Mutants Mike Mignola cover. Okay, a lot of more Generation X coming up. I remember kind of liking this book, but it was mostly that I liked the art for oh my gosh, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Let me look it up real quick. I think he also did. Mark Buckingham was the inker? I thought he was the artist. Oh, Chris Bichello. I think he did some work on Shade the Changing Man, too. And similarly, that one, I think the story was better, but I didn't actually have a lot of them to read. Elseworld, Superboy in the future. I am, as much as I talked about what if certain things I'm like and I don't like, I'm a sucker for a post-apocalyptic version of characters, so I was totally down for that, especially in the 90s. Animal Man Vertigo original run. I was a big fan of this. I don't think I ever finished it. I had a couple of the trades. These covers are Brian Bolin, which are awesome. Oh, there's a Shade the Changing Man, speaking of which, and some Superboy mixed in. Another Animal Man. Okay. What else we got here? Gen 13. I think this was... I don't think this was the... I think this was... There was a limited series and then an ongoing. I think this was the ongoing. Yeah, this is the ongoing. There's a Mark Bagley Spider-Man. Oh, a couple cards here. Got Quasar. This is the version of Quasar I always think of, where he's like a little thinner. He's got the star cape. He's got a little bit of a mullety kind of hair. They came out with a Marvel Legends figure recently. I definitely thought he was too buff, and the hair and like the head, he looked too much of like a meathead. Whereas he's supposed to be muscular, but kind of more like thin, athletic muscular. Here's a G.I. Joe card of Blowtorch. And Madman. This is probably another promo card I got from my job at the comic store. Spider-Man Unlimited. We might be getting these Spider-Men are sort of around the time I was collecting, but towards the end as well. So I'm not sure if these are ones I had originally or ones that I picked up in that box I was talking about. Hold on. Death in the Family. I don't even remember what this was. I think it was when Aunt May died. But during this time of Spider-Man, they had so much going on and so little of it registered or sunk in. As it's kind of the opposite of when I was saying some of those earlier books where I'm like, Wolverine obviously is going to die forever. All this crazy stuff was happening with Spider-Man, and I don't remember any of it because none of it seemed to have any stakes whatsoever, and they're just piling it on. Oh, another card. Flash. You could tell some of these are random, but some of these are like, whoa, I love Quasar, I love Flash, so I sort of saved the cards of the characters I personally like the best. I barely read Legionnaires. This was kept, obviously, because it's a first issue, but also I did like the artist. I don't know who this was. Let me see. I don't know, but they had a very clean style that I liked. I did read quite a lot of Justice League International, Justice League Europe, but again, this is sort of near the end of the run. I have a lot of books like this where I'm just like, and then I kept collecting for another year or two, even though I didn't really like it anymore. 0 Month, 0 Hour was a big deal. I remember that came out as I was finishing high school, moving out on my own, and I was like the brokest I had been, and I was trying to scrape together money to buy the issues of 0 Hour, but I was having trouble, and like that was around when I stopped collecting comics for a period of years because I suddenly realized that, you know, the $7 I had spent on like 3 issues of 0 Hour was like, oh, I could have, you know, bought some food for that or something. There's more X-Men, Darkholds, Midnight Suns, Adam Warlock. I doubt that's worth anything, but who knows with the new movie coming out. Superman, the death of Clark Kent, because Superman died, now Clark Kent had to die. Violator. I think this was Bart Sears, going back to an earlier one. Yeah. Is this Bart? Yeah. Alan Moore story, Bart Sears pencils. My recollection is that the whole thing didn't come out, or it came out late, or Bart Sears couldn't do the 3rd issue, or something like that. Some more late X Factor. A random issue of Terminator Hunters and Killers. I didn't read much Terminator. Terminator vs. RoboCop is the only one I really remember reading and caring about. Here's some more Texieri Ghost Rider. Oh, going back to what ifs. I like, what if Wolverine had been Lord of the Vampires during Inferno? Timequake, part 3 of 5. This, to me, is what if should be. Just bonkers. What if the all different X-Men never existed? That one, not as good. This was one that I remember not liking for some reason. What if Wolverine battled Conan? But that's also because I never cared about Conan. Alright, a bunch of what ifs. Or what if Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires? Again, vampire being a common trope there. What if Captain America had formed the Avengers? It looks like a Punisher Iron Man. I don't remember the story there. Alright, what if X-Men stayed in S? Oh, there's another Fly, more Fly. Okay. I think, again, going back to Impact, this might be the only one I kept. I liked, again, I liked the costume design, and it was a little bit of early Spider-Man vibe to it. And I liked the artist, again, very clean style. I always enjoy a very clean style because I have difficulty doing a clean style. More Impact Comics, The Fly. More of these Fatal Attraction covers, which are I just think failures design-wise. They just look like a mess, all of them. It's like just text and a sticker and I guess there's some art. They all look exactly the same, even though they're completely different, and it's just like eye garbage. I can't, it means nothing. It's just static. This, I think, might be the limited series one. Oh, okay, here's a couple Hulks. Justice League, Spidey, 2099, Multiverse. Or, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember what that story was. They could be imposters or something. All right. Hey, Fallen Angels. This isn't a very seminal book in my comic collecting. This is, again, back when I was getting my comics from the local 7-Eleven. and I kind of was reading X-Men to the point where I didn't really know the difference between Uncanny X-Men and Classic X-Men. I thought I wasn't sure. I remember there was a time when I thought the blue and yellow Wolverine suit and the brown and yellow Wolverine were two different characters, and I didn't realize that these were old reprints and stuff. But I may or may not have been reading X Factor at that time, right around the time Angel lost his wings. But Fallen Angels came out, and I was like, oh, these are X Factor people. I'll get it. And so I started reading it halfway through, and it's like, I didn't know who any of the characters in it were, but I enjoyed it. And this was, okay, here's issue 1 that I got much later, because Sunspot had like hurt his friend, and it starts following Sunspot. But I wasn't really reading New Mutants, so that didn't mean anything. But I enjoyed the book, and it was a weird book, which I still think is interesting to this day. Art Adams cover, Funeral for a Friend, really terrible. This is 90s as 90s is. Hulk Marriage, I guess. This was another kind of gimmick cover that I kept around for a while that I still kind of like, to be honest. Some Web of Spider-Man, Justice League. This has got to be a reprint. Yeah, this is definitely. I think this is first appearance of reprint. First appearance of Morbius. Mobius? What is his name? Morbius. It is Morbius. Mobius is a strip that is like infinity kind of thing. All right, and here's some Reign of Superman. All right, this is the final thing from the bag. I think it's just going to be a lot of Reign of Superman, Death of Superman era stuff. Funeral for a Friend, Green Lantern. I was really into the Reign of Superman storyline. I did like these full color chromium covers. I gotta admit, this is one of my more favorite gimmicks, especially when they used it like for metal and stuff. Looking at this, I wonder if it's faded. It's hard to tell in the camera, but the whole thing has kind of like a greenish yellow tint, and I don't remember it being that way, so I can't tell. Yeah, it looks faded. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah, more Reign of Superman. So it looks like I'm not going to have a first appearance Deadpool in here, unfortunately. But that's fine. It's not like I specifically was like, I got to have that. And if I did, I might have ended up giving it to Tech Advisor that I live with, because she's the bigger Deadpool fan. Not that I don't like Deadpool. Or if it was worth a lot, I guess I might sell it. But it wasn't something I sentimentally really wanted, because I remember even at the time, when he came out, I wasn't in love with those New Mutant comics, and I wasn't a huge Deadpool fan or whatever, so it didn't have that sentimental value that some of these have. But yeah, I'm going to have to go through this. A lot of these are going to be kept, more than I thought. I thought a lot of this would be gotten rid of. But I think I'm probably going to keep at least 50% of this, at least. And then probably the rest, if it's worth anything, I'll sell it. And if it's not really worth anything, I'll decide if I want to keep it or not, and go from there. But that's part 2 of the comic thing. I doubt I'll have another comic batch, because I didn't even know I had this much, to be honest. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found it interesting, and more chopes in go. Those aren't words. Well, they're words. I mean, they have syllables, but they're meaningless words.